Kamara. We also have Mr. Lester Smith, and we have the former cattle commissioner, Michael Williams. Keeping It Real is the only live talk radio show in the Arklatex that allows you, the listeners, to call in and speak to our guests with your comments, criticisms, or
Rick, I
your
see
concerns.
it's
Call a friend
5-6
and tell a
QB,
friend to
baby.
join us here on Keeping It Real. Keeping It Real starts now. Well, Shreveport and Bossier City, welcome to another Sunday edition of Keeping It Real. I am your co-host, Alvin Oliver, as always, and we have our other co-hosts in the building, and they would be the former cattle commissioner, Mr. Michael Williams. We also have the activist, the elder, Najiri Kamara. And folks, certainly we have a good show for you on this week. We got another real one in the building. We definitely got a real one in the building. He's unapologetic. He's unafraid. He doesn't care what you say, doesn't care what you think. He's going to keep it real. And he's the man. He's got real news behind the news. And he's Mr. Rob Thomas Jr. And we want to welcome Robert Thomas Jr. to the show. Welcome Rob Thomas Jr. to the show.
Hey, man.
All
right,
welcome
And
this
so,
morning.
It's an honor. I'm grateful.
To have Rob
grateful.
in the house. Rob, how are you today, bro?
Man, I'm honored. I'm grateful. I thank you all for the opportunity. I thank you all for the love, respect that you show me and my platform, The Real News Behind the News. It's a blessing.
Well, certainly we're glad to have you here on today, folks. And listen, for all of you out, Tony Davis, I see you. Rick Jeezy, I see you. Lester Smith, we see you. And certainly our one of our co-hosts, Lester Smith, is out today. You know, he's been sick for a little bit, and but he's slowly but surely shaking back, and so we can't wait to get Lester back on the platform for sure. So Lester, we keeping you lifted, and we ask all of you out here in radio land and Facebook land to keep Lester Smith lifted in prayer, and that he would get on back to work with us here on the radio group and the Citizens Watchdog. And so, as you know, you all can call in to the line. You don't just have to weigh in here on our Facebook Live, but you can call in to our hotline. That's 318-221-9802. That's 318-221-9802. Daryl James, we see you. You can weigh in on this Facebook Live. And again, we are on the Heart of Gospel, KOKA 980 AM, 93.3 FM. And certainly we're glad for all of you who tuned in. Carla McCullough, I'm on you on for your mama, and that's our friend Carla McCullough, Flynn Book Supply Store. You know she lost her mother, and so our condolences to you, Carla McCullough.
Let me interrupt on that too, Mr. Oliver. At this moment, yes, this is Elder Najiri Kamar, and I am extending my condolences to the McCullough family, Carla and Beverly. Those are my cousins. Their mom, Maddie McCullough, Maddie Brewer McCullough. Maddie was the first babysitter I ever had. So I just want the public to know that they are part of my family. That's a great loss, you know, for me. Maddie was very important and significant in the early development and stages of my life. I certainly appreciate and honor her. And certainly we're, again, praying for the McCullough, the Brewer, and the Grant family for that very significant loss.
Yeah, and absolutely, Nigeria. And Carla, again, you know, we send up prayers and condolences. You know, they used to be at the Mount Pleasant Church over there. Started out on Hearn, and I think near Logan, and moved to Lakeshore near I-49. And so, and certainly I have gone there a few times myself. And yes, indeed.
That's Pleasant Hill.
Yeah, Pleasant Hill. And so Carla's mother was a very nice lady, as is Carla, you know, with the Flynn Book Supply and all of those things. So again, we send our condolences to you, Carla. And she did say her mother always watched the show on Sunday and Thursday. And so we're going to continue to keep it real for your mama. Believe that.
I, too, want to inject, Carla, you know, your mother and I, and you and others. For the listener, you know, Carla used to be my sweetie. I just want to say my sincere condolence to you and your family and friends. You know, Miss McCullum was a pillar in the community and bringing gospel like the William brothers to Shreveport, and she is an angel in our community. Y'all shared y'all mother with the community.
They sure did.
We want to say to you and lift you up in the name of Jesus. And, you know, Jesus It's going to cover you and give you the strength to move forward. And continue to keep her spirit alive and well. Continue to do the things that she taught you to be the woman that you are with integrity and the businesswoman that you are and the entrepreneur woman that you are in our community. You and your sister both. My love, my condolence prayer with you. If you need me for anything, just feel free to call me at 318-294-58. God bless you.
Yeah. Very good. And so again, Taryn Harris, we see you, brother. And listen, I just want to send a shout out to all of you folks. Here at KOKA, if you got a product or business that you want to, want us to acknowledge here, and you want to be a sponsor of this show, certainly you can reach out to myself or Mike or Pastor CJ here at KOKA, and announce that you want to sponsor this segment of the show or our Thursday show. Either one is cool, either way, and we appreciate all of you for tuning in. So now we're going to get down to the business at hand. There's a lot going on in the city. Crime is continuing to go up. I hadn't seen it go down, and I don't think anybody else has, which is a acknowledgement that, to me, that doesn't really matter who your police chief is.
Right.
Crime is going to be crime wherever you go. And so, speaking of the police chief, we hear quite a bit and on the internet from the gentleman Sammy Wyatt, former Bossier police officer, now down at LSU in Baton Rouge, who scored the highest on the test. And so, certainly some folks are wondering what's going on. Are there going to be interviews? Or is the mayor going to just decide to forego interviews and just choose a chief of his choosing? The word is some folks say he likes Wayne Smith. Some folks say he likes Marcus Mitchell. But certainly my contention is that all five, at least the top four or top five, should be interviewed. And I think certainly since Sammy Wyatt made the highest on that test, I definitely think he should be interviewed for the job. I think that it doesn't matter what color you are when fighting crime or leading a department. I just think that you need to do whatever you need to do to get this crime down. And that doesn't matter if you're black or white, because crime affects us all here in Shreveport in a negative way.
Right.
It affects our health. It affects our well-being. It affects our economy. It affects our infrastructure. It affects jobs. It affects business coming to Shreveport. It affects Shreveport being an attractive place for business to come. And it also impacts Shreveport negatively because a lot of people leave Shreveport because of it.
Right.
And so we definitely need to get this thing under control somehow, some way. But like I said, like the DA said, crime is everywhere. But we kind of have to stay more focused on the crime here in our backyard and where we live, and do what we can do to get our crime down here. But again, so hopefully we'll get something done with the chief. Robert Thomas did a story on his Real News Behind the News, and he was talking about the slum apartments at Woodlawn Gardens. And so folks know we're not finna jump on this Michael Lafitte thing or any of that. But what we are going to continue to do, let me say thank you again to Michael Lafitte for stepping down from the NAACP. But I am going to say that, there are other apartments in Shreveport, y'all, that's similar to or even worse than Woodlawn Gardens. And we need to hold these folks accountable. But here's the thing, to you folks that live over in these types of conditions, you understand, you have to do your due diligence. You have to do your part. All we can do is, because again, we're just community impact radio folks. We're not cops. We're not the city leaders. We have their ear. We have a seat at the table. And so all we can do is ask them to come in and help you all as much as possible. And so I say to all you folks that's living in these apartments with these types of conditions, you all need to elect a leader among yourselves and form a tenant committee of some kind to talk to the property management, because the fact of the matter is one hand washes the other. you all need property management, and the property management needs you all. So without one, the other one doesn't work. Or you're gonna continue to see stuff that escalated and snowballed, like with what took place over at Woodlawn Gardens. And certainly we don't want to see that again. But if somebody calling us, and we do have people calling us, just so you all know, just in case some of you all out there are property managers at Clear Horizon or formerly Illinois Projects, if you're property management at Bel Air or Peachtree or Williamsburg or Salem Village, these places, Villa Norte, people are calling us. And so I'll let you all know what we let those people know. We can't come to another place until we continue the mission at this place. Right. We can't quit in the middle of the stream. You understand? So we're going to be here until the job is complete. And so we still have people like Jermaine Anderson who's reaching out, and I got to give it to Jermaine. Jermaine is very persistent in trying to get some things done over there. And so Jermaine has reached out to everybody in town, and he continues to do so, and I can't blame him. And we've urged Jermaine to move on. And certainly these people went to court last week to have these tenants evicted, and the courts threw out the evictions. Courts threw it out. I don't know the particulars, but evidently the courts saw that they didn't follow the proper procedure, and so they threw it out. Absolutely, someone says Villa Norte is horrible. But again, they threw out the evictions, and so having thrown out the evictions, we're still getting calls and notices from people like Jermaine that these people in the rent office, Tanny Lewis, who's now who's still the secretary over there, they say that that they hadn't seen or heard from Michael Lafitte, but who knows? But nonetheless, they're saying, from some of the tenants are saying, that the people are refusing to accept their rents. Now, as we told Jermaine before, and we're telling some of you other folks, these people have a right as the owners not to renew your lease. They can do this. And so if they don't renew your lease, take your rental assistance money and go somewhere else. If there is no other apartments who take your rental assistance, then try and find a rental property, a house that will take your rental assistance. I'm certain that there are other places out there that will take your rental assistance, but I'm going to let Robert Thomas speak more to this and what him and Jermaine talked about. Rob, what you got on it?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you guys for considering me to be here this morning. One thing I want to say first, before we even go into that, is about crime. Okay. Guess what, y'all? The police chief, the police department, the officers on duty, they only come after a crime has been committed. Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, it really makes no difference who your police chief is going to be. Absolutely. It's up to us in the community to step up and stand up and say, we're not going to continue to let 2 or 3 Negroes hold a community of 200 or 300 hostage. At some point, we have to step up and stand up and do a little something more about the crime. That no snitching policy, you see where it's gotten us, right? Right. So I just want to say that in relation to that. But as far as the situation that Jermaine and I were talking about, and Jermaine, I see you watching. Yeah, you and I are still going to do that video, but right now, the Creator has blessed me to be in a position that I can reach more people on this platform than just talking you and I on Facebook and 6 people watch. So I want to say this. First of all, Alvin, Michael, and Mr. Jury, I give you all the credit in the world, because you all did something that was so relevant that the video went viral. And not only here in Shreveport, you can see that people who watched that video around the country are now feeling empowered to step up and talk about the living conditions that they're under. But my whole thing is this: how many people should we hold accountable? Not just for people that's in ownership at Woodlawn Terrace, but guess what? A lot of people at Woodlawn Terrace are getting Section 8. So when I look at it, if they're getting Section 8 funding to, you know what I'm saying, to, I guess you could say, to subsidize the rent.
Correct.
That means that your federal government, your state government, and your local government has dropped the ball when it comes to inspecting these projects or these facilities. Because if you get in Section 8, I'm speaking from a person who remodel houses. And if I remodel a house that is about to be put on Section 8, do you realize there's certain things that I got to make sure go on in that house so that they can get the funding?
Must.
When I saw that video, one of the main things I noticed outside the standing sewage is the lack of up-to-code electricity, the electrical wiring, which is a fire hazard. Do you realize you already got one building over there at Woodlawn Terrace that has fallen down? Where are your inspectors who are supposed to be making sure that these landlords keep these buildings up to code in order to receive yours and my tax dollars? So right now, not only is there a civil dispute or complaint, but really there should be criminal charges fired. Now keep in mind, I'm from the Cooper Road. I moved from the Cooper Road at 16. Me and my mom and them, we moved from 16 to Villa Norte. Villa Norte was a piece of crap back in '87, and it's only got worse. How many major fires have you had in Villa Norte since then? 2 or 3. When you are getting Section 8 funding, that means somebody from the state, local, or a federal government should be on at least a monthly basis looking at these buildings to see that ain't no sewer water standing. So right now, even though right now it's just a civil matter, we need to be looking at criminal prosecution, and we need to be holding people from the city, the state, and federal government accountable, because there's no way in the world your tax dollars, my tax dollars, should be going to a landlord who is not keeping the building up to code. Because again, if I was to go to Woodlawn Terrace right now and they say we need you to remodel it, first thing I'm gonna say, well, first of all, you got to get this electrical work up to code. That's not been happening. So who do we hold accountable? And if they are taking federal funding, meaning that, and from what Jermaine telling me, you got people over there paying almost $1,200-1,300 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment that really ain't worth but $150 a month.
Yeah.
Your tax dollars, my tax dollars, are being subsidized to pay for this. So somebody needs to be held accountable criminally.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for giving that information and putting that out there. And I certainly do appreciate it. And I just like to intimate to the public, those individuals that have the Section 8 housing certificate. That's federal. They can go anywhere across the country with their certificate. They just need to start the ball rolling in terms of finding them a different house, finding a landlord, or finding some apartments that accept the Section 8 housing certificate. And you're right, Mr. Thomas, also. They take, the Section 8 pays big money for rent. So those individuals should be able to get them a decent house. Now, if they're on housing, which would be the local, that would be a different scenario. I'm not real sure about all of that.
The housing standards still have to be up to code.
Correct. I know about the standard. That's what I was going to say, that it has to be a standard that's met, because that certificate can travel anywhere across the country.
But
go ahead.
Jerry, let me jump in and say this, y'all, because y'all might not know this, and I tried to articulate this to Jermaine. Tabitha Taylor told me this. Woodlawn Gardens is not Section 8. They are conventional apartments. So those people over there are not on Section 8. Jermaine Anderson has said he's not on Section 8, but what they have is rental assistance from the city, Bonnie Moore and those folks. I think they just got another $100,000 to help these folks. And so there is a difference between the rental assistance. They do not have housing vouchers. So I want to be clear. They do not have housing vouchers. So they are not under any federal guidelines as it relates to housing vouchers and housing. And I see you, Jermaine says that they can't, Jermaine, they can refuse to renew your lease. However, they cannot refuse to out of retaliation. But here's the tough part about that, brother. Retaliation has to be proven in a court of law. And so, but here's my thing also, Robert, that I said to Jermaine, that we've said to Jermaine so many times. Man, if people don't want me living in their place, I'm gonna take my money and leave.
Let me jump in because this is very important.
Let me have
Go ahead.
before you come.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna switch the narrative because oftentimes the narrative is hijacked by those in the media and those don't want to bring the appearance of truth that actually went on over there at the facility. Targeting poor people has become a sport. Has become an indictment because you're poor and people mistreat you and discriminate against you because you're poor. And surely what happened over there at Woodlawn Terrace, by all of us working together from the very beginning, surely there has been some light shining in a dark place. We're able to make some accomplishment. There has been some movement over there. There's some progress over there, but there's a lot more work to be done. Let me switch the conversation. Our democracy is under attack on a national level. Our voting rights are being attacked every day. People are being suppressed and oppressed. I want to ask people that are in the same condition that Jermaine and others are in, the only way you're going to change the policy, you got to change the people. That means you got to get out and go vote. Those people that you have called upon, those representatives, those leaders, those deacons, those preachers, those elected officials, that you had a public outcry for help, that didn't come to your rescue. Well, you have an opportunity to change the people so you can change the policies on a national level, and a local level, and a state level. So I hope and pray that this new opportunity to have some people that rise up, accept the challenge, and become leaders in the NAACP. Alvin has got some people that he thought would be great. I know particular one person who's a member named Josh Williams. He's an attorney, former DA. Now he's an attorney practicing in the private sector. We need somebody that have some courage to fight and some legal mind, be able to take on these historical challenges, systematic challenges in terms of racism, discrimination, and housing, jobs, and economic, and the criminal and educational system in our community. So I hope that we're going to give Brother Montreal an opportunity to see what he can do as an interim. However, I hope that it'll be hundreds of people that want to run for that NAACP position. It's not a public position, it's not a cute position, it's not something to pad your resume. If you don't want to do the work, don't take the position. So I hope that Josh, you and others who want to put your name in the hat and run for that seat.
Can I say this real quick?
Go ahead, bro.
Please, black people, don't get mad at me for speaking a truth. But here in 2022, there's so many opportunities for black people to further themselves for as education or whatever. Yeah. I'm not trying to put nobody down, but if you are mad because of what's going on in Woodlawn Terrace, Villanova Terrace, whatever, be honest, it's your fault. Because what's stopping you from elevating yourself out that position to find you a better place to live for you and your children? Now, I know this is not a popular message. I know a lot of you Negroes didn't want to hear this, but the truth is, you're living somewhere that you really don't have to. Think about this. Since Jim Crow, slavery, and all that, black people have had more opportunity now. Because guess what? If you're getting a housing voucher, you are able to get a Pell Grant to go to school, and if nothing else, get an LPN degree. Get a trade or something. Yeah. Not trying to put you down. Right. But Bobby Womack said something in the song across 110th Street that made so much sense. He said, I've been down so long that getting up ain't never crossed my mind. At what point do you want to say, all right, well, if I move from Woodlawn Terrace, you carry that housing voucher to the next slumlord until you are able to empower yourself. As long as you're getting something from the government, you get what you get from the government.
And Jermaine, Rob, let me sometimes, man, we kind of read some of these comments. Jermaine's saying everyone can't move. Well, Jermaine, here's the thing, brother. And I see other folks saying everybody don't have the resources to move. But here's the thing. If these folks refused your income, If they refuse to accept your rents,
Right.
then that means you're in possession of your rents.
Right.
And so you have no excuse. You should be able to move to another place if some other place is available.
That's
And
no
I
excuse,
understand-
Albert. That's no excuse.
And here's the thing: you can transfer your electric,
That's right.
your water, your gas. And so what we need to do, Robert, to piggyback off what you're saying, man, you know the thing is, man, oftentimes, brother, we have too many excuses to keep us down.
Right.
And we need to stop limiting ourselves with these excuses. And so we need to find a way, brother.
Right.
Where, as the saying goes, where there's a will, there's a way. This lady named Hassa Cortrice, she says the same energy that's been put out doing live videos, go do something positive. She says, Tanya Kemp Fine says the same money you pay there, you can pay elsewhere.
Pay somewhere.
Darren Harris says, true, our race is the only race that keeps tearing each other down. We won't pass helpful information to one another because you kind of disappeared.
Well, I'd like to say this also to interject. I heard Mr. Thomas offering that people have to do better, and that's true. The problem with us as a people, and I'm speaking of black people, so oftentimes, as he say, we've been down so long till we don't value ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We value everything outside of ourselves. So we look at things, we try to grasp and gravitate stuff that other people have.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look at ourselves, and I'm going to use a pearl, which is a jewel, just like diamonds and emeralds and all of the other kind, but they come out of inanimate objects. The pearl comes from a living organism, which is the oyster. Now, let me tell you how that pearl is developed. It's developed through all of the trash, everything that's waste, everything that oyster cannot use.
I like that.
It dispels it. It gets rid of that trash.
Right.
But at the fullness of time, when it is the appropriate time for that oyster to dispel what it is and what it was created to do, we find a pearl. So I'm saying to the public, to every African American under the sound of my voice, and others as well who are partaking of this show, we trying to keep it real. I'm saying we as a black people, as was stated, I think Mr. Teron Harris, Mr. Oliver, you indicated we always tear one another down.
Right.
I try to find what are the jewels. I heard Mr. Thomas say so many opportunities that's in this city. There are a lot of opportunities available to our young people, those that are out there shooting up, killing, and all of that.
Tough.
Everywhere I walk in, it say now hiring, now hiring, now hiring. So I understand we can't say that there are no jobs. No. That's a lie. It may not be the job that you want, but you need to do what Mr. Thomas said. Do something to help yourself. If you have been entitled to certain governmental funding, all this infrastructure money, recovery money, rescue money. Come on, help me somebody up in here. We need to help ourselves. We need to recover. And that means take a look at yourself. Mr. Oliver, you and I were talking this morning. I said, man, I'm doing self-evaluation on myself. Because sometimes I could get out there, I could be so passionate about all of the wrong that I see, till all I want to do is go around trying to change the wrong. But guess what? It don't happen like that. It has to be a process. Sometimes we can want to help people, but guess what? Information is power. If people don't have information, they can't help themselves. Let me leave it at that.
The Bible says information is more powerful than money. Let me ask you a question. How many people that's living in these situations find the money to get a new hair weave?
They
find money to get their nails done. They find money to go to the club. But you can't find a way to get you and your children out of a situation. Here's a brother, listen, just 6 years ago, I'm facing a life sentence for selling marijuana. Guess what? I would love to get a housing voucher, but they won't give it to me because I was convicted of selling marijuana. But guess what I did? Since I couldn't get a job legitimately, I found me a rake and a lawnmower. I did whatever I had to do to keep myself, even though right now I'm not in my home, I'm homeless, but guess what? I'm not living in no crap like that.
Yeah.
Because I refuse to settle for less than what I know the Creator has ordained me to live.
All right.
And none of us are ordained to live in those situations. Now, I admit that sometimes it's hard, but like Brother Alvin say, you got a housing voucher, take that housing voucher to somebody's house. Why would you live in an apartment paying $1,300 a month when you got houses on Section 8 where there are landlords who get Section 8 who will make sure that every month that house is inspected? So again, I'm not putting you all down, but I'm asking you all to think a little bit different than what we have been brainwashed. Oh, we poor people, we can't afford that. That's bull crap.
Yeah, and Rob, let me say say some of these comments on Facebook. Hold on, Mike. We got Marvin Muhammad says, brother Marvin T. Muhammad says, brother, they've exhausted their funds. Well, let me share with you, brother. They have gotten more funds. They have gotten over $100,000 more funds. Mm-hmm. So I got that from Bunny Moore, brother. So let's be clear on that. Roderick Johnson says, sometimes the message. He says, Rod, I lost you right quick, but y'all keep popping in and out. Mm-hmm. But Tanya Kim says the same money you pay there, you can pay elsewhere. Gladys McKnight Stark says, sometimes those people living in those type of places have more hair weave and lashes and nails than she do. And that's fine. You know, you get it how you live, do what you want to do. Jermaine Anderson says, we're not talking about jobs. But we're talking about
a job will get you out of there.
Here's the thing, Jermaine. And we can't just spend the whole show and every week talking about what's going on over there. Brother, you know, and we understand sometimes y'all gonna get a little angry because, brother, we can't just give one side of the coin. We got to give both sides. We got to be impartial and unbiased when it calls for that. And so I said that to say this, brother. You know, it's okay to ask for a hand up. Mm-hmm. You understand? No, but in asking for a hand up, you also got to help yourself. Real time. You know, you got to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Come on. And for those who don't have bootstraps, it's okay. You got people out here like us to help you get some bootstraps. Right. But for those of you that can help yourself, you should help yourself. Why lay there in that squalor and then you complain about it? And then expect us to come and help do something about it. And we will for those who can't help themselves. But for those of you who are able-bodied and can get up and go to work, then you should. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry to say if that's offensive to some of you all, because look, you made the comment, Robert, that you just made, which was a very profound statement. But let me tell you what I used to tell folks. I grew up I was born in the bottom. On Garden, raised on Harvard, and then the rest of my life in Queensboro and Cedar Grove, brother. My mama raised 8 kids by herself. My twin brother Melvin and I were the youngest of 8. And let me tell you something. You talk about slum, brother. We were so poor. You understand what so poor mean, right? let me get closer to the camera. We were so poor that we had to reach up just to touch the bottom. That's how down we were. Man, that's a good one. We were so poor that we had to reach up just to touch the bottom. So don't talk to me about poor, brother. Okay? Don't talk to me about hard times and slum. But guess what? I didn't lay there and wallow in it. Guess what? I used to drink. I used to pop. I used to toot. You understand me? I used to drink. I used to be a street cat. I done been to prison. You're an ex. I sold drugs. I done did all that. You understand me? You don't talk to me about none of that, none of all of that foolishness, bruh. I'm getting you the real. And people like Kenny Howard, you know what I'm talking about. These street cats know what I'm talking about. Bruh, where y'all living at, you understand me? What you don't have is what the prison system got for you. You ain't got nobody telling you what time to wake up, what time to go to bed. If you can watch TV, wearing some dingy underwear that don't belong to you, hoping somebody put money on your books, you know, and all this type of thing, brother. So what I'm saying is you got your freedom, Jermaine, and other folks like that. You got your freedom. You're able-bodied. You understand? And I understand some folks have some type of disorder and some folks need some help. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. We're not knocking those people. But what I am knocking is if you lay there and you stay in it, you know, because that type of thing is supposed to be temporary.
Right.
Section 8 is supposed to be temporary. Rental assistance is supposed to be temporary until you can
Not
do
permanent.
better. Now, if you're a person that's on some kind of Social Security disability and you need that for the remainder of your life, then you need it. Fine. I don't care what color you are, black, white, purple, blue, brown, whatever you are. If you need it for the remainder of your life and you're on a disability, fine, you should have it. But it's meant to be temporary, people. And this is not something that you should use for the rest of your days. And again, for some of you who's out there saying the people need resources, I think Marvin T. Muhammad said something about oftentimes they need rental deposits and stuff like this. Well, here it is. When you work with the rental assistance program, Peach Street Apartments work with some of the people. We know several people that since we came over there, they moved out of those apartments. And 2 of them went to Peach Street. Another girl, Danielle, she went to a house. Another lady went to another apartment. And they worked with those people. Because they knew that they were receiving the rental assistance.
And Mr. Oliver, if I could, what did the folks do for their rent before COVID?
Exactly.
What did they do before rental assistance? I'm saying we need to quit undervaluing ourselves.
And you need to quit listening
We
to
need
people
to
like
look
Marvin.
within ourselves and see what it is that we can do to be a benefit and a help to ourselves. Because the Bible said, if a man don't work, he don't eat.
But people
Now,
like, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. It's a hot topic about self-accountability. This is self-accountability.
Muhammad, he's injecting his input. So let me ask you this, Marvin Muhammad. And again, nothing against Marvin, because like I said, Marvin could be sharp sometime. You know, me and him bump heads. But and listen, I appreciate those who want to bump heads. You know, I'm good at it. So but here's the thing. You know, let's go back to the NAACP component. The NAACP should have been the first one on the scene. Like I said, Marvin, you came on the scene. You came to our press conference, I guess, thinking that we were there talking on behalf of the NAACP, which we were not. We were there as the citizen watchdog in the radio group and as members of the NAACP, not as representatives of the NAACP. Now, you spoke, you told folks, old buddy, I ain't gonna even mention old buddy name no more. You said that old buddy got a vote of no confidence. All that's fine and well, but you spoke as a third vice president. But let me tell you, you and your other buddy, aren't y'all over the housing department over there at the NAACP? What have y'all done for the folks? What have y'all done? Now, you on here today, you saying that these people, they don't have resources, they don't have this, they don't have that, they need rent deposits, they need money for electric, and all of that's true, sir. So as the third vice president, and I think that you or Craig or somebody, y'all over the housing department at the NAACP, y'all chair over that department. So what is the NAACP and in particular the housing section doing to help these people?
I gotta say, let me jump in.
Rob Thomas.
If y'all keep listening to people like Marvin, you're going to keep being a victim because he's perpetually keeping you. Do you realize people like Marvin have a vested interest in keeping you all poor and feeling defeated so that you all can look to him for answers while he's getting money from everywhere else? At what point? Again, if you can articulate your point of view on Facebook so eloquently, you should be able to go and articulate your point of view to somebody that's going to help you pay that deposit or something like that. So at what point do you get up, get off your knees, stop begging, and do something for yourself?
I think, Robert, you make a valid point. We all come from humble beginnings. This ain't nothing new under the sun. I'm so sick and tired of people got excuses, and they got excuses, but they don't have no solutions. The question is, where do we go from here? The bottom line is you ought to get off your lazy gluteus maximum and put yourself in a position to get off your lazy gluteus maximum and do something for yourself. Stop blaming white folk. Quit blaming the police chief. Quit blaming the politician. Quit blaming the preacher. Quit blaming the government. You ought to do something for yourself. You always looking for people to do something. You do something for yourself. Go out and get a job. If you want to be able to live in a nice home, go to work. Go get you a decent education. Go to school. Stop having 6 and 7 babies and got 8 different dads.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm saying quit selling boot and hair and weave. And go do something to put your kids in a righteous, a Christian home where they can be saved. Introduce them to Christ, start introducing them to the Shanae and then to the Coco Pellet. Introduce them to something that's going to benefit them the rest of their life. You wonder why our kids are in this shape? It's because of the environment that you got them in. Quit blaming God. Quit blaming Jesus. Quit blaming the preacher. Look in the mirror yourself and say, what can I do to make an impact and change my life?
Lord have mercy, Mr. Michael. I'm so glad that you said that, because we keep intimating that we're here trying to build the village.
Yeah, Lord.
We got to build the village. And let me say this here, that village starts in your home.
Real talk.
And you hit it hard, brother, when you said about, say, for instance, a mother got 4 or 5 kids, 4 or 5 daddies. Okay, so that's messed up situation. Number one, emotionally, psychologically, in the hearts and the minds of those children. And guess what? That mama got hell on her hand with
Real
those
talk.
kids. Excuse my French on the radio. I apologize. This is a heated conversation. Now, we as a people, we understand and know what went on in slavery time. So our families are torn apart. The daddies can be here everywhere. We don't have a nuclear family, but guess what? We need to get back to basics and understand. Men, when you're out here dropping all of these seeds, you need to show up and see about your seeds. Even if you drop, you might have 2 or 3 here, there, everywhere. Let me say this to the radio audience. My ex-husband got 23 head of children. I don't know how many women involved. I'm just telling you, keeping it real, because I'm the anointed teacher, and I can speak from experience about what goes on. And I raised my men folk, my children by myself. And my children, it was difficult for them to understand and see the lines between what the role of the woman is and what the role of the man is, because the man wasn't there. Now, let me say this here to the public, and I want Mr. Oliver to take this over, because my 33-year-old son, Mr. Oliver, the other day told me, he said, Mama, you need to quit acting like a 40-year-old dude. Now, I need y'all to help me, because guess what? I done been that 20-something-year-old mother, 30-something-year-old mother, 40, 50-year-old grandparent. I'm 62 years old, and my city is upside down.
Real talk.
I believe we need problem solvers, and that's what I say. I'm a problem solver. So if I'm out here acting like a 40-year-old dude, why? Because all these 30-something, 47-year-old dudes, they ain't stepping to the plate. So unfortunately, that's what I got to do, and that's why I got the role.
Come on.
And listen, we can appreciate your son feeling the way he feels. And but hey, you have a calling, and you got to step up to your calling, and that's the bottom line.
Men got to step up too.
Absolutely. And I was trying to get to this comment by Marvin Muhammad. He says, brother, I believe in the principle of doing for self or suffering the consequences. So let's not create a false narrative to push a certain argument.
That's his
and listen, Marvin,
listen. That's his favorite.
Marvin, pay us that money
you
you
know
owe
us enough better to know, brother, that we keep it real. You know, if I keep it real, and it ain't about pushing no argument with me. And matter of fact, you know, like I said, brother, you know, I say this every week, that you and I have had some issues, right? And but again, hey, I want you to come on the show. I see you weighing in here on Facebook Live. Come and be a guest on the show. Talk about it. Come and tell these people your point of view. Tell these people your perspective as a not only just a third vice president of the NAACP, as to and explain to them, Marvin Muhammad, why didn't the NAACP step in and help these people? Why did you all enable the NAACP president to allegedly do what he was doing?
Real talk.
Why did you all enable that, Marvin Muhammad? So you on here, it seems like you're promoting help for these people.
And the chair.
It seems like you're giving excuses that sometimes these people don't have resources to move, and that's a logical excuse. But how about you come to the show? Explain to these folks, as the third vice president, you're the sitting third vice president. You were a part of that group that enabled the former president to do what he was doing.
Yeah,
so why don't you come to the show and talk to the people as to why you did it, why you didn't step up. We ain't talking about the vote of no confidence that you gave him, because a vote of no confidence is not the same as saying step down. That's not the same, brother. And so the bottom line is, come to the show and speak on it instead of weighing in and us going back and forward. Come over to the show, get on the microphone, get on the Facebook Live, and let's talk about it. You know, we can agree to disagree. We can agree to have a a rational conversation like men. We get heated sometimes, and we get ready to bump heads and do whatever. You know what I'm saying? And but again, I extend the olive branch. I've extended the olive branch to Michael Lafitte. We thankful that he stepped down, but we know that the problems, although he stepped down from the NAACP, we know that the problems still exist over there at the Woodlawn Gardens. Let me tell you, we have a vote of no confidence in, and this is me talking, a vote of no confidence in Montreal Whitaker as to be the next NAACP. And I don't care if I have to get behind Brika People or Carla Collins, people who out here to push them as the next president or to run for myself. But I guarantee you, we going to change that slate of presidents in the NAACP, and we're not going to have people sitting in the NAACP just sitting there holding titles. I assure you that, brother. And let me not take anything away from you, because I've said this time and time again, and I'll say it while you're on this live. You do have some fight in you. But I also think, and although you at times you're your own man, you have your own thoughts. At times you allow the thoughts of others to take over your beliefs, and so I think a lot of times folk got in the way, like our former president and some of his counterparts got in the way of probably how you truly wanted to move. Because I believe that you do have a heart to serve. I believe that you can be a good president, but you just got the wrong people around you stopping you from being a good president. And in my opinion, which I'm entitled to, I believe Michael Lafitte was one of those who was stopping you from being the good third vice you could be. Same thing with Barbara Iverson. She can be a good president. She's a fighter, but I just think that you all enabled this dude to do what he was doing, allegedly. I'll say, I preface everything, allegedly. Is that enough allegedly for you legal minds out there? Is that enough allegedly for you guys? Okay, so allegedly one more time. But nonetheless, those of you that enabled this man, all of y'all should step down.
Especially the one who's the chairman of the Housing Committee needs to step down.
Yeah.
If anybody was enabling and condoning his behavior and supposed to be on the side of justice, even though that's your friend and you the mentor and all that, you should have told him the best, gave him some best wisdom to ask him to step down. But since he stepped down, you who enabled him and sided with wrongdoing and had your feet on the neck of the poor people that are living in those conditions, as chairman of the Housing Committee, you need to step down. And we should not accept business as usual. No matter if you're black or white or Democrat or Republican or Protestant, we should continue to allow people to mistreat us, abuse us, take advantage of our vote, take our vote for granted, take our money for granted, and sit it down and make fools out of us every day. So it's time out for being ignorant, for being foolish, for making immoral, intelligent decisions about our lives. Keep recycling these politicians from school board to city councils to state representatives, and you get the same old people, you get the same old result. So it's time for a change of direction, a change of narrative, a change of spirit, a change of philosophy.
Yeah.
We need to have a black Wall Street. We shouldn't be making no apology for being in power. Republicans been in power forever. They don't try to work together and be inclusive, work teamwork. They just do what they do, what they need to do for their concern and for their interest. Now, Democrat, do what you need to do. Quit trying to bridge gap. Ain't no bridging the gap. It's either vote on black, they vote on Republican, and they vote on race. That's the way it is. That's reality. It's the have and the have not. They don't want the have not to have nothing. They want to prey on you every day. See, the greedy prey on the needy every day. So it's time for a change. And stop making excuses. Put yourself up. Put yourself in a position and do something to get out of this slumlord. Get out of this frame of mind that you're in. Get out of this mindset. Break the chains off of your mind. Recycle your money. Redistribute your money. Get your money a new habit to come back to us. So we ain't got to worry about nobody else coming to help us, what we can do for ourselves.
And that sounds like recovery, Michael. I really appreciate your saying that, because for me, this is a year of recovery. We need to look at what it is that we've been doing. Is it, if it haven't been yielding the results that we need in our community, then we need to start doing something differently, as you indicated. Now, the thing that I would like to put out here for the community, we're talking about the NAACP. Let me just put this information out. NAACP elections are every 2 years. So our President Lafitte just stepped down. Montreal Whitaker, first vice, steps up. He leaves his office ends in November of 2022. So I'm saying that for everybody who is a member of the NAACP, who may be interested in becoming a member of the NAACP, if you want to run for any office, you must be a member of that organization before the end of March of 2020. You must be a member by April. By April 1, you should be a member of the organization to run for any elective office. Now, for those who are interested in running for elective office, if you want to win an office, I'll tell you the solution, the key. I'm a problem solver. Go get as many people as you can to join the NAACP, and then those people at election time, they come and they vote for you. That's how you win an NAACP election. It's a membership organization, and I am a Silver Life subscribing member for those who want to know, because our former president, he never acknowledged me. Never.
Okay,
What did
let me say
Rob.
Go ahead, Rob.
and I hope I don't offend y'all, but I'm finna give y'all some real truth.
Keep it clean for radio.
I'm gonna keep it clean. I'm gonna keep it clean, but I'm finna offend a lot of people and probably you all. But do y'all realize in the last 30 years, we just seen Rodney King, we just seen Trayvon Martin, we just seen George Floyd, we just seen all these black people.
But we ain't seen NAACP.
But we have not seen it. Right now, the NAACP is the most irrelevant entity in our neighborhood.
God have mercy here.
Think about it. Black Lives Matter have gained more political power than NAACP. Now, when you look at Brother Lafitte, he's saying that he's trying to get corporate and all that. Guess what happens, y'all? When you get corporate sponsors, you cannot help the people. Because the corporate sponsors who you getting this money from is not going to let you help us.
Come on, talk.
Maybe we need to come up with an NAACP for real Negroes, something like that. Because the NAACP has been the most irrelevant entity. Look how many brothers that got killed just last year at the hands of police or whatever. Where's the NAACP?
Tommy McLaughlin.
Here's Freeport.
The kid over in Moortown.
Anthony Childs. The NAACP needs an overhaul. Maybe Michael Lafitte and all them spend too much time trying to get white boys to funnel money into them instead of worrying about Negroes who are getting killed by the police.
Oh, Lord.
We need...
Steph Jones on Mike's page, he just asked a good question. He said, what's the benefit of joining the NAACP?
Real talk.
What's the benefit? So I'd like to know, Marvin Muhammad, you on here. Tell the people what's the benefit of joining the NAACP, buddy. Like Nigeria said some weeks ago, Nigeria, and you can articulate it in this. We got 5 minutes left. You said something, Nigeria, that was very profound. You said it was a structure just set in place. You know what you said.
Right. Well, I'm just saying all of these different organizations set up a certain structure for certain things to operate a particular way. So, like Mr. Thomas said, if the NAACP has been set up to keep us quiet, to keep us pacified, to keep us thinking that somebody is speaking on our behalf, then that's what we have. That's what I'm saying about those invisible structures that you don't say. It's the invisible power. The invisible power that exists. It's a structure. You think it's going to help you, but it's not. It's not designed to help you. You might think that it is. So that's why I'm saying.
It lost its mission.
And Charles,
it depends on who the members are.
The purpose of I'm going to give y'all some real game. Purpose of the NAACP was to give us an illusion of power without inclusion. That's what it was all about. To make us think that these white Jews who created the NAACP, do your research. It was white boy Jews that created the NAACP. Now, back then, in the 60s and 50s, they didn't have no choice but to be relevant because the money that was funneled into the NAACP helped people like Martin Luther King and others get their message out. But right now, But all our brothers and sisters
It's
who are
missing in action,
dying,
man. It's missing in action.
where are they?
MIA.
It's an illusion of inclusion, but there is no power behind it at all.
And let's start, and we can talk about, start with Derek Johnson, right? The president of the entire international NAACP. You see him on CNN at election time talking, ain't did a doggone thing. When George Floyd was killed, a nationwide movement. You saw Black Lives Matter. When you you saw the kid get killed over in Moortown by the cop over there, they said it was self-defense.
Black Lives Matter.
When you saw Tommy McLaughlin killed by cops here, where was the NAACP, Marvin? Where was the NAACP, Montreal Whitaker? I saw Breaker People. I saw Carla Collins. I saw the People's Promise. And let's be clear, I hadn't always gotten along with, I've always loved Breaker. I never knew Carla, but I didn't always get along and align with how they done things, nor did they get along with how we do things. But we come together on one common goal. Anthony Childs, thank you, Tanya Kemp. That's it. That's what his name was. And so, but I see that these people, Breaker People and Carla Collins, are out here in the same fight that we're in, and they want to do the same thing that we do. But they got people that we deal with that they don't like. They got people that they deal with that we don't like, that we don't deal with. But the fact of the matter is, we can come together and set our differences aside and work on the one common thing that we do agree with, and that's helping our people. But also, I got to tell our people, in order for us to help our people, we got to help ourselves. Listen, you ain't got to stay laying in no slum. I'd rather go sleep up under a clean bridge than to stay over there in that dump. I'd rather go sleep get me a blanket and sweep out under the bridge than to stay in that slum, Woodlawn Gardens, or any other slum, in the cold. You understand me? And so I'm telling you all, listen, pick yourself up. You understand me? Pick yourself up by your own bootstrap. You ain't got to live in that kind of stuff. And you ain't got to be relegated to stay on no doggone cattle rental assistance, Section 8, or none of that other stuff. You understand? And so, again, Marvin Muhammad say schedule it. Marvin Muhammad, you welcome to come to the show this Thursday. Our show is at 11 to 12 this Thursday. And if you got to work, come back next Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. Folks, we about out of time. We're going to keep talking on this live after we go off the radio. But I want to tell you all again, we appreciate you all for joining us here on Keeping It Real here on KOKA, the Heart of Gospel, 980 AM, 93.3 FM. Again, you can call into our hotline, 318-221-9802. And as always, we thank you for joining us here. We ask you to join us again this Thursday, because we're going to pick it up again. And we might be bringing Rob Thomas back so he can pick it up where he left off, because he is a real one and he's real news behind the news. So make sure you all tune in to his YouTube, Facebook page. And that's Robert Thomas Jr., Real News Behind the News. And we appreciate y'all for tuning in here on Keeping It Real. We out of here. Peace.
All right. Thank everyone for joining us
from the horse's mouth
today.
on the new edition of
I just thank y'all for the opportunity to speak truth to the people.
Try to bring some new.
Because really, if you can go spend $350 to get a hair weave sewn in, that's your deposit for another apartment. Plus, you getting your voucher. So I'm just keeping it real.
Them people paying $400 and $500.
Yeah.
They don't make sense.
But I'm supposed to kill.
My granddaughter in the hospital, grandmother, we ain't out there. I said, well, where you get money from to pay $350? I said, that don't make no sense. I said, see that? I said, that's what I'm saying. It's the
our season, our time now to mobilize and unite,
because they giving them this
build a coalition of titans.
I teach. They laugh because I got an Android. I said the same thing.
Man, me and my father just talking. He talking, I got to come out with $1,300 to get an iPhone. I'm like, you spend $80 to get an Android, do the same thing. But you know what? I got a 11-year-old son. And nowadays, I remember we was kids, I said, Mama, can I hold $5? My boy called me, Dad, I need $150. I'm like, nigga, you 11. What you need $150 for? A video game. But my whole thing is, if you can, no problem. If you can spend $350, $400, $500 to get something sold in your head, and you living off my tax dollars,
everybody look like you.
Really, I Yes, I do have a problem with
I do
that.
too.
I got a problem with that.
I'm very fiscally conservative myself. You
You
heard
gotta
me say
come late
already, I
because
used to be a
you
Republican. But that's because I saw what the Democrats was doing.
you know, we
And
come
then the white Republican women, they came in court.
we'll get some
Them
new
women
leadership, and I'm gonna tell you
how
all,
the White House
listen to
all
me.
they
Go join
were
the
doing.
NAACP. Join now. It costs $30. Join now. Tell a friend and tell a
So
friend
they
and tell
be
another
killing
friend.
part
We joined the
That's who got the
NAACP.
watching me.
That's it.
I said
The
it
white
again, and make it
Republicans
clear
are
to
trying to
you.
get
I'm not
me
attacking
to, but I'm like
I
this.
don't
I'm
know
gonna be real.
Montreal.
I'm
I
not
know
Democrat,
I
Republican,
got
Christian.
left from some church out there.
Because guess what? If I say I'm a Democrat, you say you're Republican. Guess what? We
I ain't
created.
know I said
No, I'm just saying. If I say I'm a
Right.
Democrat, you say you're Republican. If I say I'm Christian, you say you Muslim. Guess what? We have created division, but we can't even come together to discuss the basic problems that we got as black people.
110% to the job of the NAACP. Why would you do it? Why would you step into it? Brother,
from each other because
you
of the
enable.
I mean,
I got a half old lady.